A two-way radio installation, GMC, pickup truck, VHF antenna, fender bracket you can purchase online, attached with 3 bolts. One is the fender bolt and 2 extra to prevent this one moving sideways. Cable goes behind, away from the hinge, and comes down here and goes into this firewall grommet. It ends up behind of a junction box, connected junction box. And here we'll show you a trick. The cable doesn't get pinched because I increased the spacing by loosening 2 bolts here and 2 bolts on the other hinge, and I move this one away. Sometimes I pull the fender by undoing the fender bolts, so I pull the fender a little bit outwards to increase the spacing here. Otherwise, in many cases, the cable get pinched because of the temperature in the summertime, the engine temperature, the heat outside, and it will expand the metal and it's going to bite into the sleeve, the jacket of the cable, and will damage it. Especially after a while, the insulation get brittle with weather, and you get water into the jacket and it's causing corrosion to the ground, to the shield or to that mesh, and that will cause performance issue with the antenna. So that's kind of a thing it's important to know. Most people don't know that because their trainers or instructors don't tell them such a thing. Actually, I applied for an instructor position at a local technical institute, and they never considered my application. And I see the outcome. I see young people doing installations, and I see not very high quality jobs. Anyway, so that's the radio installed onto a mount. It's clamshell. It's a foldable mount. You can adjust the angle, and I choose to orient or point the radio towards the driver, so the driver in the driver's seat can see the display properly. And I had to use some sealant on the mount bolts. Usually I use black color. It prevents this one to get loose, but yeah, it's very solid, will not move here in 100 years. And I built a harness, antenna, coaxial cable and power cable, goes behind here and is nicely attached here. It's not like a big cluster mess. And the power cable ends up here. I installed the label on the power cable, also label on the antenna coaxial cable. Ground is here, and I use a fuse adapter. There are other fuses that I could use, switch power, but the customer wanted permanent power, constant power to the radio for emergency reasons. And these adapters you can get online. And I use a 10 amp fuse. The radio will take about 9 amps at 50 watts. And the microphone, sometimes the customer wants the microphone here. If they want the microphone hanger here, that's okay, but because this cable is kind of long, I didn't want the driver to have this cable touching his leg, because it gets the mind tired. So you have to think from multiple points of view, not only as a machine, as a robot of doing installation. If if you don't think how the driver interacts with the radio, then you might do silly stuff. So here it's okay, but as you can see, it's not very far from the gas pedal. So that's one of the reasons I attached it here. And another reason is that when they hear an emergency call, they open the door and they grab the microphone like that, or just press and talk instead of trying to grab the microphone from under the steering wheel. It's kind of weird for the emergency purpose. So they open the door, they grab the mic and pull and talk. That's it.